in the Indian way, faith has never been central to our approach to religion. And I'm not deriding faith. There are some religions in which faith is central. What you believe is central. The Abrahamic faiths, for example. But in all the Indic faiths, whether you have faith or not is a personal choice. It's good to have faith. It's okay if you don't have faith either. That's not central to how our philosophies work. At the heart of our way is actually wisdom. And if you see our schools of philosophy, the Indian schools of philosophy, the dharmic religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, they can be, depending on how you count it, they can be divided into 12 or 13 schools of philosophy. Of these philosophies, 5 are actually atheists. Sankhya, Mimamsa, Jaina, Bodha, Charvak. They are actually atheists. They don't believe in a creator God. They believe in the law of cause and effect. And the others actually believe in a God. So what unites the Indic religions is not so much faith, but it's philosophies. Okay, the law of cause and effect, the law of karma, dharma, the belief in reincarnation. That's why you'll find in all the Indic way, usually 99% we don't bury, we cremate our dead because the body is not important. Right? That's what actually unites us. So since philosophies are more important, the more you get into our scriptures, you automatically become more philosophical. And I genuinely believe the way you see Indian Islam and Indian Christianity as well, it's actually deeply philosophical. The way Ram said, so only an Indian Muslim could have said, "Ya to masjid mein sharab pee nahi rahe saki, aisi jagah bata jahan khuda na ho." It's a very deeply philosophical thought if you think about it, right? So through a shame. Right? In India, you'll find even taxi drivers will have philosophies.
So, in the West, Greek mythology, if we are to compare Greek mythology with Indian mythology, Greek mythology is almost the preserved museums of Latin textbooks. It's almost become like a fossilized entity, which maybe, children probably read about it and then it's just put away, it's shelved away. But what's fascinating, of course, in the way you've interpreted Indian mythology and is that you've brought it, it's become like a living, vital force that appeals to all ages, actually. And I think that's what I find really admirable is that it's not just the preserve of, say, one particular section of society, or it's not sort of highbrow or lowbrow. It has universal appeal. So as a writer, were there any, did you consciously set out to do that? Did you have a particular audience in mind, or because you reinterpreted certain characters, you made them flawed, you made them imperfect beings? In a way, the gods that you portray or the figures that you portray reflect us as humans, they are full of foibles. And I think that's the appeal of them, when we read about Sita and when we read about Ram, we see a version of ourselves as well. We don't put them on a pedestal, and that's what's amazing, the way you do it. So, were you afraid that you might have antagonized a certain section of society which probably wanted them to remain, these figures out of bounds and sanctified in a way?
Good questions, and there are probably actually 3 questions.
There are 3 questions.
One is, why is Indian culture still a living culture? And you're giving me too much credit, it's not me, it's our culture which is living. My books are very, very, very tiny contribution. But while Greek and ancient Greco-Roman or Pharaonic Egypt or Gilgamesh, Mesopotamia, these are museum pieces. That's right. Dead cultures. Whereas India, we're the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive. So first question is, why is that? I want to ask you guys, if you guys have any, I have a theory for why we are still alive. Why do you think India is the only pre-Bronze Age culture that is still alive? Every other pre-Bronze Age culture is dead. It's a museum piece. Look, think of what survives over time. Charles Darwin's law it's often misinterpreted to mean survival of the strongest, survival of the most adaptable. Okay? But you need an ideal mixture of strength and flexibility to be adaptable. If you're, when a storm comes, if a tree is too rigid, what's going to happen to it?
Snap.
It'll snap, it'll fall. But say you have no rigidity, no strength of your own. You're like Usha grass. What will happen to you? Anyone will just walk all over you, right? You have no identity. You're like potato or water. Wherever you are, you'll adapt, right? But you'll notice that Indians, we travel across the world, even those who went practically as slaves, indentured labor, to Mauritius. Do you know there are 13 Jyotirling in the world in Mauritius? Okay. There's a talab out there called Ganga Talab. When 150 years ago people went out there, they took some Ganga water, put it in that lake out there and said, now this is the Ganga. And they go in out there, take a dubki, they believe it washes away their sins. You go to the Caribbean islands, they're still keeping ancient traditions alive. We are freaking stubborn. We will not let it go. But wherever we go, we will adapt to the local stuff as well. We will learn the local language. We will do well economically. We will do well educationally. Prison population of Indians as a proportion to our population is minuscule, so we adapt. But we are rigid. Ideal mix of both, right? Where you have an identity of your own. When the gale storm is on you, you paint with it. The moment the storm is over, you come back, right? Need that ideal mix of strength and flexibility, which is what I think we have. Which is why we keep adapting our stories again and again. Because what is culture at the end of the day, right? It's the clothes we wear, how we behave with each other, the food we eat, the stories that unite us. That's what culture is, right? And what we end up doing when we adapt our stories again and again is that we remain attached to the best of the old, bring in the best of the new as well. And that's how our culture remains alive. Which, a subsequent part of your question was, how does one then avoid controversy?
Yeah.
Which actually the answer is hidden in my previous answer, that we had a tradition of different interpretations already for centuries, right? Like I just showed the various versions of the Ramayana, for example. But it's not just that, even in terms of daily beliefs. Again, pop quiz time. How many North Indians out here? Yeah? Lord Karthik, was he a bachelor or was he married? Anyone wants to take a guess? Lord Karthik? North Indians first. Bachelor? That's why he's called Kumar, right? Kumar means, bachelor. Women don't even enter a Lord Karthik temple because he's considered the warrior god. There's this tradition, this belief that if I enter, my husband or brother or father may also become a warrior like Lord Karthik and I may lose him. So I will not go to a Lord Karthik temple. There's a tradition in North India. Okay, South Indians now. Is Lord Karthik a bachelor or married? Married, right? 2 wives. Valiji and Senaji, correct? I discovered this in the 4th standard when I went to Lawrence School, which was in Tamil Nadu. I said I was born in North India. First time I came back, I went to my mother. Arey mom, you told me Lord Karthik is a bachelor. He has 2 wives. What's going on? And then she told me this thing, which is the beauty of the Indian way. They have a right to their truth. We have a right to our truth. Both of us worship the same God with as much devotion. What difference does it make? And this is a part of our ideal mix of strength and flexibility. So if you do a different interpretation of our story with respect, there is no controversy. And I am the proof of the pudding. I have been doing it for 12 years. You can Google me, you won't find any controversy.
Okay, Amish, you've written all these books in almost quick succession. Where do you find the time? How do you're a workaholic, that's fine. Where and how do you find the time to research? Because all your books are very well researched. And that's for not just me as an author, but all prospective authors, how do they go about researching? You've written these books in quick succession. And I'm just amazed, how do you find and where do you find to do the research or background research?
Thank you. There's this gem, called Siyamantak, which Lord Krishna had left, and anyone who's lucky to find it can touch it and then pause time, and then we can read in that and then start time once again. I genuinely believe that 24 hours is really a lot. If you don't waste time doing things which are nonsensical. How many of us waste time, say watching TV or just scrolling or randomly, on social. These things are time sinks, right? I actually, because I write my books and I also have this job, I'm Minister of Culture and Education at the Indian High Commission, and I also host documentaries for Discovery TV.
That's why I was wondering, you
and I'm telling you honestly, there is enough time if you're focused on what you like doing. And your 24 hours is really a lot. You need 7 hours to sleep, but the rest are all available. So Harper had this thing called a blog tour where they actually distributed the books to readers and reviewers of a non-Indian background. And the way that works is, they will give what their honest opinion is. And actually we got very good feedback from, I'm talking about people who would have no idea about our culture. And that makes me even more happy because I genuinely believe our culture has a universal message. And it connects a bit to the point that was made earlier of our diaspora. We do very well in the UK, but we are a little diffident in speaking about our culture.
Yes.
Right? In every way, educationally, economically, we are doing very well. Politically also. But culturally, compared to where we are in every other sphere, we are actually underperformers. And a large part of that is we are actually a little diffident in speaking, of our culture. I genuinely believe many of our messages are actually universal, but we have to put it in a way that even non-Indians can understand, right? In a language, in an idiom that they can understand. That's what I hope to do with my books, and that's what I'm most delighted by. That there are non-Indians reading these books, even in places like Forbidden Planet, where I was told, out there almost no Indians walk into. There are very, very few. But even out there, it's selling well. So I'm happy.